then you will have done. You can imagine, for example, that when I'm putting in this conference room, completely closed, heated with radiators, and I'm putting an egg on the table, after a few days, it will dry out. That's logic, because all the humidity is through the small holes in the shell of the egg, coming to the outside, and then it will dry out. But in normal conditions, when the hand bird is breathing and can vacuum its feathers, you will have no problem at all. So, all these apparatus which are sold for getting or maintaining your humidity in your bird room cost a lot of money and useful question mark. Anyhow, I'm not using it. That's for as far as the humidity. But I was telling you this morning, and I still remember it, so that's a good thing. It means that my Alzheimer's is getting better. So this morning I was telling you that I was using one single rearing food for all my birds. This is this is the most important part of the talk. And I think you have to get our friends. So we will leave now. When you are making your rearing food, when you are making your egg food, it seems logic to me that before starting, you have to know exactly what it is. So when you are buying 1 kilogram of egg food, as we know, egg food, and you look at the packaging, and you look at the composition, there are a lot of things in it. Starting with carbohydrates. Almost empty. Carbohydrates, what is this exactly? What is it exactly? Well, you can find carbohydrates, for example, in potatoes. You can find carbohydrates, for example, in corn. You can find it in anything. Sugar, no. No. But bread, for example. Bread. Normal white bread. When you are looking at the composition of the apple you are buying, you will see, depending on the gram, you will see that there is approximately between 50 and 55% of carbohydrates in 1 kilogram of egg. Besides this, is there something else in this egg we are buying? Of course. Crude proteins. Crude proteins. What is a protein, for God's sake? Protein is a molecule consisting of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. Oh, forget it once more. Nitrogen. Depending on the number of molecules of each of these chemical substances, we will give it each time another name. Now, we are not going into details for this. In Mother Nature, there are approximately 200 different kinds of proteins. Now, in these proteins, there is a special group. And in this special group, depending on their chemical, one arm of their chemical position, we will call them amino acids. Everybody knows what amino acids are, I suppose. Amino acids. There are about 20 different species or sorts of amino acids. But there are 2 of them which are really very, very important. Why? My father, he was participating at the races with the pigeons on Sunday. I don't know if it is common here in the UK, or if it was common maybe. It was on Sunday, and I can assure you, when my father participated at races on Sunday, the next Monday, we were eating chicken pie. Still don't know the reason, but we knew it. Monday pigeon pie. Okay. The pigeons had to be killed, of course. Taking out the feathers, and then he was doing something very special. What special? He was taking a torch and burning the pigeon before we could eat it. He was burning. Well, not the feathers. There was some quills. And it smells awful. That was the smell I will never forget. It has the same smell as, for example, you are burning the hair of your arm or your arm. Must have a reason why it smelled so much. And then later on, when I went to college, or school or something like that, don't remember it anymore exactly. But then at one place, there was a guy who was telling me, our hair, and also feathers. There are built of amino acids, but there are huge pieces which also contain sulfur. And when your sulfur is getting together with oxygen, you get this awful smell of SO2. That's what stinks. Now, I never forgot that. So I said to myself, when we are burning it, we are getting sulfur binding with the oxygen. So there must be sulfur in the feathers. Since there is sulfur in the feathers, our birds must be needing it to build up their feathers. And this is why there are 2 of these amino acids which are so important. There are only 2 of them which has 1 molecule of sulfur in their chemical positions. And these are methionine and lysine. How many of these proteins can we find in 1 kilogram of egg we are buying? Approximately, depending on the brand, don't forget it, 16%. There is something really what's bothering me in there. Because it is mentioned, crude protein. They are not stupid, you know, the manufacturer of the egg. Crude protein. Why are they mentioning crude protein? Well, you can imagine, for example, you are taking 100 gram proteins. Our birds are eating them, or you are eating them. You are not going to use all the 100 grams of the proteins, only a small part of it, or a big part of it, depending on the quality of your proteins. You see what I mean? If the manufacturer, when the manufacturer is mentioning crude proteins, 16%, we are thinking that all the 16% will be used by our birds. Forget about this. There will be used at the most 12%. And then, even then, you have a really, really good quality of protein. On the other hand, where is this 16% coming from? One would think the manufacturer has sorted it out. He has done research. For example, the people of Orbis, they went to the UK, they installed themselves in nature, took some pictures, took some book notes with a nice barbecue, and they were following 1 pair of bullfinches in order to find out what they were eating one day when they had chicks. You can imagine there was one baking on the barbecue and the other one was taking lunch. You can imagine how it is going. So it's 1 big spider coming up, 1 big spider, 1 snail coming up, 1 snail coming up. And then at the end of the day, they make the total list. That's what the bullfinch did. They have had exactly 60% of crude proteins. Forget about it. These 16%, amazingly, is the average value of the total of proteins contained in 1 egg. When you are taking the yolk and the white part, and you are measuring the two together, on 100 gram, you will have approximately 16% of crude protein. When you are taking, for example, a buffalo bone, everybody knows a buffalo bone? I don't know one. I'm saying this stuff, but I'm not saying hello, you know. You can stay there where they are. Buffalo bones, when you are drying them, you're killing them first of all, but when you are drying them, the dry matter contains approximately 54% of protein. 54 times 30 divided by 100 gives you how much? Approximately 16. Amazing, isn't it? When you are taking a mealworm, you're taking the dry matter out of the mealworm. You are seeing how much protein there is in it. Means of approximately 50%. 30 times 50 equals 15. That's where this 16% is coming from nowhere else. Don't believe that the guy was doing a lot of research in order to find out that the poultry needed exactly 16% of crude fiber. Not at all. He has stolen it from my father. My father goes from crackers. Crackers, you know what it is? From crackers, yeah. He took some crackers, put an egg with it, mix them all together, and that's what he was feeding to his canaries. And he managed to raise birds. He managed to raise red siskins, and he managed to raise canaries. And then the people of orcs and so on, they were taking the recipe of my father, making the analysis, and they figured out that crude fibers, crude protein, 16% would be heavy. That's how they found it. And not in another way, believe me. Now, besides the crude proteins, in my opinion, if they want to be honest, they should have mentioned on the packaging, they should have mentioned how much of this 16% would be used or can be used by our birds. Then they would be honest. But they don't. So you cannot compare brands with each other, because they will all mention crude proteins. And we don't know how much of these crude proteins will be used by our birds. Can be 1%, can be 2%, can be 10%, can be 15%, can be all the 16% of them. But I can assure you that from a normal egg, laid by a normal chicken, without bird flu, of course, I can assure you that 95% of all the crude proteins will be used by our birds. And that's the best ratio I ever found. So, normalize, perfect. Good. Besides the crude proteins, what else can we find in the egg food? Once more, crude fat. How much? 5%. Approximately, depending on the barn. Do our birds need crude fat? What do you think? What do you think? You don't think? No. Yes, at least there are two women here in front of me and they say, yes, we need fat, and they're right. But you gentlemen, indeed we need fat. Our birds need fat. Why? We need fat. Why do our birds need fat? Well, when you are going inside to an egg of a bird, which is fertile, I consider that as fertile, there is an embryo developing. When you are talking about an embryo developing itself, it means that each cell is divided in two. Then we have two cells, of course. They are dividing and so on and so on and so on. Why do we need the fat? Why do the birds need the fat? Around this cell there is a small film made out of fat, who's keeping all the things together. That's why our birds need fat. So if in your egg food, no, rearing food, if your rearing food doesn't contain enough fat, it means that next year you can have problems. Because when the chick is developing itself, and you have less than 5%, well, 4% is okay, 4%, 3.5% is okay, but not less than 3.5%. If there is not enough fat in the egg, in the yolk, it means that at a certain moment, it stops. It really stops dividing cells. So it doesn't develop anymore new cells. And then when you are taking an egg, check that in the egg. Could be the reason, not enough fat. So never tell somebody that your birds don't need fat. They need it. Don't exaggerate it. And in normal seed mix, you have far more than this 5% of fat. So there is no problem at all there. Because when birds are flying around, they need some energy. And fat is energy. Don't forget that. So clean fat. What else do we have in this egg food we are buying? Moisture. Depending on the brand, between 15 and 17%. Moisture. Okay, that's water, isn't it? I'm not paying for water. You're prepared to pay for water again, believe me, but I won't. So don't need it. What else do we have in this egg food? Crude fibers. Crude fibers. Does our bird need crude fibers? No. No. Crude fibers, what do they mean with crude fibers? When your birds are eating seeds, the remains of the seeds, what's around it, that's the crude fiber. They don't eat it, don't they? And suppose that they would eat it, would remain in their stomach. Why? Because our birds don't have the enzymes to digest these crude fibers. A chicken has. That's why this morning, when we are talking about pigeons, so when people are developing nourishment for, or whatever, based on pigeons or chickens, no good. No good. Because you can't compare the two of them. Our birds don't have the enzymes to digest this crude fiber. So, do we need it? No. So what that means that all the crude fiber we can find in 1 kilogram of egg food is wasted. We are paying for nothing. How many do we find in general? 5%. Never higher, please. Certainly never higher, because our birds, it's useless for our birds. They can't use it, it's good for nothing at all. Whatever can we find in the egg food? Yes, vitamins. Are vitamins important? Absolutely. Absolutely. There are two kinds of vitamins. There are vitamins which can dissolve in water, and the others dissolved in fat, stored in fat. These ones can be dangerous, because if these vitamins are stored in the fat layer of the bird, some things can happen. Which are the vitamins which can be stored in the fat layer of the bird? They are A, D3, E, and vitamin K. Vitamin A is useful for the eyes. People who have not enough vitamin A in their body, they have generally trouble driving at night, for example. So they are very important for the eyes, the vitamin A. On the other hand, it has been proven by Mr. Pauling, no, not by Mr. Pauling, the Pauling Institute. It's a guy in the United States. At a certain moment he was doing some research for vitamins. And he was saying, if you want to avoid to have the flu in winter time, take as much as vitamin C as you can in summertime. Apparently he was completely wrong, because the institute who was controlling his theory proved later on, when the guy was dead of course, he proved that this vitamin C is useless when the flu is coming out. But when you have the flu and then you are taking vitamin C, you will be cured very quickly, more quickly than you don't have taken vitamin C. So vitamin C is very important. Vitamin A. If you don't have enough vitamin A, then the good ladies can know that can get osteoporosis. Now, knowing this, doctors were saying you have to take vitamin A to the good ladies, so you would avoid to have osteoporosis. And research showed us that in Sweden, where the good ladies, people are eating a lot of fish, and fish is containing a lot of vitamin A, they all get osteoporosis. Why? It was proven that vitamin A was getting out calcium at the bone structure of the people. So it also has been proven that vitamin A, when you exceed using too much vitamin A, then the bone structure, the skeleton of our bones, will be influenced in a negative way. The calcium is really sucked out, as a matter of fact. So you have to find a very good level of vitamin A when you are supplying it to your bird. Don't exaggerate. Not too much, but not too less. Be careful with vitamin A, because it can give an influence, and it gives negative influence on the when your birds are laying eggs, they are laying. Vitamin D3. Is vitamin D3 important? Yes. We all know that vitamin D3 serves to bound the calcium, which is a mineral, to bound the calcium and put it on the skeleton of the birds. Where do you think that the birds are getting their calcium to lay eggs next year? Not, yes, they are not getting the calcium from the seeds you are giving. Not at all. Not from the fruit you are giving. Not at all. They are taking the calcium out of their own bones. And with these calcium they are taking out their own bones, they are making the shell for laying their eggs. So you can imagine if today you have young chicks in the nest and not supplying enough calcium, you have problems next year. Means also, if you don't give enough D3, then it is not possible for the calcium to put the calcium for the body of the bird to put the calcium on the bones. Now, vitamin D3 cannot be found in Mother Nature directly. You have to supply to your bird vitamin D2. And then I'm coming back on the light. Because I mentioned to you this morning that certain neon tubes are passing through some UV light, a certain percentage. And it's this UV light who is transforming vitamin D2 in vitamin D3. So you see, everything has its place. Everything is important, not too important. Don't exaggerate, but use the right stuff, that's it. So, vitamin D3, important? Absolutely. Vitamin A. Is it important? Yes, we all know vitamin A, fertility. Don't have to make a drawing of that, I think. And then we have vitamin K. Vitamin K is also very important, but in a negative way. We all know that, for example, for goldfinches, they are very, very sensitive to coccidiosis. And coccidiosis is a protozoal infection. As a matter of fact, protozoal are, you can compare them with small bugs, but instead of the outside, at the inside of the bird. Now, we are going to treat birds which are infected with coccidiosis with some kind of medication. And there we all know ESB3. Everybody is using, in order to get rid of coccidiosis, we are using ESB3. But there is another medication can be used against coccidiosis, which is Bitrin. Bicox. Bicox. No Bitrin. I prefer Bicox over ESB3. Why? As I was saying, you can compare the protozoal with a small bug. But a bug consisting of one cell only. And the only thing that this cell, this protozoa, this bug, is going to do inside of the body of the bird is multiply. So, breed, multiply. Okay. From one protozoal or bug, let's call it a bug, it will make first two, but still inside of itself. From these two, then finally will become four, and then we burst over and get four new of them. So schematically it means you have two and then you have four. ESB3 will try to kill all the protozoals here. Bicox will try to kill here. This means the chance that this one survival is bigger here with ESB3 than with Bicox. That's for a start. Secondly, if you want to kill all the protozoals with ESB3, you have to give it longer. So it means that Bicox you only have to give 2 days, eventually repeating it after 5 days, everything's okay, everything's clear. ESB3 you have to give it 3 days, stop 2 days, give it 3 days, and repeat the whole thing after 1 week. That's why I prefer Bicox. But there is another disease which is far more important or far more dangerous than coccidiosis. And everybody is confusing it with coccidiosis. And this disease is toxoplasmosis. It is approximately the same thing as coccidiosis, only the protozoa is far more small. So, the first time, coccidiosis can get through can get into the bloodstream of the bird through the intestines. Toxoplasmosis can get through the intestines into the bloodstream. That's the danger, and you won't see it. But you can imagine to cure toxoplasmosis is very more difficult to do than coccidiosis. And on the other hand, there is only one medication with which you can cure toxoplasmosis, and that is ESB3. So when you are going to a veterinary and he will examine your birds, he will give you a cure as ESB3 because at that moment he is sure, 100% sure, that if he is wrong for the coccidiosis and he is treating your birds again and toxoplasmosis, automatically coccidiosis will be cured too. That's the reason why most of the veterinarians will prescribe ESB3 instead of Bicox. Toxoplasmosis in finches, by finches breed, is also called the fat liver disease. Because the bug, toxoplasmosis, is anchoring himself not only on the liver, but also on the heart, on the lungs, kidneys, and these are things you can't see. The only thing you can see is the liver. And the liver becomes then yellow. So that's the danger. So, for the vitamins, they are absolutely important. Vitamin K is then used because when you are treating